Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Vijana Baba Girivardhari Vijana Baba Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Gunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Balava Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we're reading, continuing our reading from the Srila Prabhupada Nectar book. We don't have a pair, we just have a book here. So, Srila Prabhupada Nectar. Would it help to have a? You have this in Russian? Yeah, or, I may have one in English here too. A second one would help to follow along. Yes, I got another book here in English. It would help. Okay, so I'll start. So we're on. If anyone who's following it on the book in the book itself, we're on page 287. You have it there? Okay. Would it make it easier to follow along in the book in English as far as translating goes, or just listen to it? Okay. Because I have it here. I have a second book. It would help. I have a second book. Yeah. We've been. I've been kind of like paraphrasing it as we went because it make it easier for the translation. But maybe it's page 287 in the book. Or number 26. Okay, well, let me try just reading, and then you can translate exactly like that. Okay, so I do one sentence, and then you do a translation. Shubhananda tells of a personal interview he had in Vrindavan with Srila Prabhupada, when Prabhupada gave him permission and blessings to write a book on Vedic psychology. Krishna Swami introduced them. This is Shubhananda Das, and he is a writer for the BBT. He wants to speak with you about writing a book on Vedic psychology. Prabhupada asked Shubhananda if he had studied psychology. No, Prabhupada, Shubhananda replied. Prabhupada then turned to his secretary and said, how can he write a book on psychology? Shubhananda felt somewhat heartbroken and tried to explain himself. He said to Prabhupada that the kind of book he wanted to write would not be a comparative study comparing Vedic psychology to modern mundane psychology, but he wanted to write about psychology based on the Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam. Have you read all my books? Srila Prabhupada asked. Have you read Bhagavad Gita? Have you read Srimad Bhagavatam? Yes, Shubhananda replied. What is the psychology in those books? Shubhananda replied that psychology is the study of the self. It comes from the word psyche, which means soul. So in the Bhagavad Gita, it is described that we are not the body, but the self is the spirit soul. If one identifies with the body, says Shubhananda, he's crazy. Prabhupada widened his eyes and nodded his head and turned to push to Krishna. Very good, very good. Shubhananda continued giving a little synopsis of what his proposed book would say, describing the dynamics between the senses, mind, intelligence, and false ego. All these things would be taken from Prabhupada's books and arranged in a literary way to show that Vedic literature contains a very profound science of psychology. Prabhupada seemed to approve, but he asked further, what is the goal? The goal of the book, Prabhupada, Shubhananda asked. No, the goal of life. To surrender to Krishna, Shubhananda replied. Why, Prabhupada demanded. Because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shubhananda replied, and we are all his parts and parcels. It is our constitutional position to surrender to him. Prabhupada nodded, yes. So what should be the goal of the book, asked Shubhananda? That Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Again, Prabhupada said yes. Shubhananda said yes. He was then silent, and it appeared that nothing more was to be said. But Shubhananda wanted to be sure that Prabhupada actually wanted him to write the book, and not that he was only humoring an attached disciple. Prabhupada asked Shubhananda, do you really want me to do this book? Is it something that you think would be important, or do you really want me to do it? Because I don't understand the language, I don't know what you're ending. Prabhupada nodded yes. Then Shubhananda asked Prabhupada for his blessing so he could write the book. In some of your purports, said Shivananda, you explain that one cannot write transcendental literature unless he is empowered by his spiritual master. So Srila Prabhupada waved his hand and said, "You're empowered." Shivananda had a long formal presentation in mind, but Srila Prabhupada had suddenly answered all his questions. To Shivananda, Prabhupada's gesture was on the one hand casual, yet it was very dramatic. He had moved his arm just as though it were a magic wand, and in one transcendental motion he said, "You're empowered." Shivananda wasn't sure whether to take it that Prabhupada meant he was already empowered or that he was now hereby empowering Shivananda on the spot. Either interpretation meant the same thing, and Shivananda felt confident and humble. He knew that he had no personal qualification to write unless Prabhupada gave him the ability. Overcome with joy, Shivananda stood before Prabhupada with folded hands and prayed out loud to him. Prabhupada, I'm trying to advance in Krishna consciousness, and I'm feeling that I need your mercy. Please benedict me with Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada replied, Teshang satata yuktanam bhajatang kriti purvakam. If the devotee is sincere, Krishna will bless. Srila Prabhupada then reached for an orange on his desk and handed it to Shivananda, who left, his mind swimming in an ocean of transcendental happiness. Next section, number 27. During a visit to the Taoist Gurukula, Prabhupada heard from the devotees of a local school teacher who was becoming interested in Krishna consciousness. The man was anxious to see Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada agreed. As soon as he met Srila Prabhupada, the teacher began to pour out his heart about his personal difficulty. The man explained that in order to make extra money, he was also driving a school bus. A few weeks ago, while driving his bus, he had run over and killed a young school child. Now he was being brought to court in a legal case. As the man went on with his story, a few of the devotees present felt sorry that Prabhupada had to hear all of it. But Prabhupada seemed very interested, and he began asking detailed questions. Have you come to a full stop? Prabhupada asked. The teacher explained that the accident occurred on Valentine's Day. One of the children had dropped his Valentine, and it fell under the bus. The teacher told Srila Prabhupada that he had looked both ways in his rearview mirror and didn't see any children. It had looked like all the children had crossed to the other side of the road, but when he started up the bus, the wheel went over the child. Srila Prabhupada asked the man if the company had insurance. After hearing the whole story and asking different questions, Prabhupada said it seemed the teacher had followed all the safety precautions and that definitely any court of law would hold him blameless. When he heard Srila Prabhupada's decision, the teacher became relieved. Then Srila Prabhupada, who was sitting in a rocking chair, began to preach to the teacher and the few devotees present. The light blue curtains and clean white walls of the room became effulgent in the last rays of sunlight streaming through the windows. Srila Prabhupada spoke of a recent news article about a scientist, Werner von Braun. The famous scientist had recently stated publicly that after all his research, he had concluded that there must be a creator, a supreme being, and that all scientists should come together by different methods, and by different methods establish his existence without doubt. Bring that news article, Prabhupada said, and as the article was read about the scientists who accepted God, Prabhupada became enlivened and made further points. He explained that the whole universe is like a big machine and that there is no question of any machine operating without a controller. There had to be a personality operating it. God, therefore, is a scientific fact, and now a world-famous scientist was recognizing this. Prabhupada said, "This is really wonderful." One of the devotees exclaimed, one of the devotees is saying, "Prabhupada, this is really wonderful." Prabhupada agreed and said that they were sending a set of books to Werner von Braun. Prabhupada, if he becomes a devotee, he is so famous. He is the one who made the V2 rocket. Prabhupada corrected the devotees and said he was not interested in Werner von Braun because he was famous, He said he was. He said he was interested to preach to anyone who had come to the right point. Because the scientist had come to the right point of inquiry and was interested in God, Prabhupada was interested to preach to him. We don't care for any big famous personalities, Prabhupada said. After Prabhupada had spoken for over an hour, one of the devotees again brought his attention to the visiting school teacher. Prabhupada's teacher had an award for his school for being the best teacher of that county. Yes, said Prabhupada, Krishna will send the best. And turning to the teacher, he said, "You should help us here. You should come here and help us with the teaching." And this is where Srila Prabhupada was actually visiting the Taoist Gurukula at that time. So he said he was telling this teacher, "You should come here and teach here." Okay, maybe we read one more section. Number 28. While visiting Vrindavan before the Krishna Balaram Mandir was built, Srila Prabhupada used to sometimes stay in his original rooms at the Radha Damodar temple. On one visit, Yamuna Devi Dasi asked if she could cook for him, and Srila Prabhupada agreed. While Yamuna was cooking chapatis in one half of the kitchen, and Srila Prabhupada was eating prasadam at the far end of the same room, Prabhupada's servant Shrutakirti entered the room to watch. "So you have taken prasadam?" Srila Prabhupada asked. "No," Shrutakirti replied, "I just bathed." Yamuna, fix him a plate of prasadam, says Srila Prabhupada. No Shrutikirti protested. That's all right. I'll wait until you're finished, Srila Prabhupada. No, said Prabhupada. Sit down and take prasadam. So Shrutikirti sat down and received a plate from Yamuna. Under Prabhupada's direction, she continued making chapatis and serving both Prabhupada and his servant. So today she has fixed your lunch, said Prabhupada. Now tomorrow you cook for her. This is the Vedic custom. Today she has done some service for you. Now tomorrow you must serve her. Looking through the lattice work onto the courtyard of Rupa Goswami's Samadhi, Prabhupada began to reminisce. He said that often he would sit here and take prasadam and look at the Samadhi and bhajan kutir of Rupa Goswami. He said that he was hoping that Rupa Goswami would give him facility to spread the Krishna consciousness movement. During the same period, a startling incident took place with a monkey. Srila Prabhupada was lecturing to a group of people in his small room. One man had brought a bunch of bananas and placed them at Prabhupada's feet. All of a sudden, a monkey ran into the room and grabbed for the bananas. Prabhupada also grabbed for the bananas and got most of them, while the monkey got one or two and ran out the other door. The whole thing had happened very quickly, and Prabhupada was also quick to use the incident for teaching Krishna consciousness. Just see how expert the monkey is, Prabhupada explained. He said that every species of life has their expertise to get some food.
translate it possible.
Okay. That's the end of the reading today. Any questions, comments? Okay. I don't hear any questions, comments. So we'll end for today. Tomorrow we continue with Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.